So we are on page Kuf Daled, and we're taking the deep plunge. Here we go. Here's what I recommend. Since we're going to be comparing, I'd like to read the top. Since we're going to be doing some comparing, so even if I don't understand it 100%, just see the words. Ad the Resha, the Kusufa, the Kol Kusufim. This is where it starts. Until you get to a point where the beginning, the Resha, the Kusufa, there is such a thing as the Resha, desire of all desires. Levushin the Yakar Iskin va'achsin. So he says garments of glory are prepared and also given over like an inheritance. Let me turn some more pages. So then he brings in high maskalo. So this concept of the maskalo, he's going to explain it better. Totally b'asa the lohava. It really hangs. It hangs from a place that doesn't exist. So he says, "Is and inside of it is incorporated all of those things which are not founded. So it's hanging from a place that doesn't exist, and it's something that's not established. So what are we talking about? So we're back on Kuftalit again, and it says Ad v'kol inyan mises hamalacha shechaskarno. Even though ever we said about the death of the malachim. Hoyarak ad olam atikun, it was only destroyed until it came to the place, I guess, of olam atikun. The Resha of achakach naasach atikun ayedecha beroshal parts of atik yamim. Now he said ad the Resha the Kesufa. I'm not sure what he said exactly here, but he says last part ayedecha beroshal parts of atik yamim. So until there's such a part still that exists, the Rosh of atik yamim. Then everything is falling apart. Shenikra Reish the Lo Isyada, which is known as the Reish, noble head. The Fisha Ein Barabishun Yadiv at the feast of the Nikra Gam Ein Sof. It's also called by that name. Why? The Fisha Huna Elam Ma'od, because it's extremely hidden. The Kasufa, the Kol Kasufim, so it's the desire of desire of Rosh HaZecha V'Nikra Gam Chemdas Kol HaChemdos. The Fisha Gam Erik Anpin because this is something that is also the yearning or the desire of Erik Anpin is also to reach this Resha de Lo Isyada. So therefore it's called Kesufa de Kesufim. It's the desire of the desirers. Erik Anpin Makom called Hamadas, because Erik Anpin is called the place of all of the desires. He called Partsufa Hatzilus Chomdim v'niknasim leida, so they all come in order to v'niksaf, they all have a chemed, they all have a desire, a hunger. Leida v'lahasik is Erik Anpin, to reach Erik Anpin, because Erik Anpin is the panemius of what we know as reality. L'v'keim she'Erik Anpin atzba choyve v'koisis, and he desires, he wants, he yearns a b'shtoikik. Lahasik as a reish the lo isyada, and he to know this reish the lo isyada, he's yearning for it. Harinimsa shereish lo isyada hu b'makom chemdes kol hamudos. So therefore, it's the place of the desire of desire, or the desires, the desire of the desirers, something like the desire of the desire. Kolomer she'erik anpin hanikra b'kol ha'chamado, so he is all of the desires. Kofseif, he also hungers v'chomed, and also desires bo, that is atik yomim. But inya the tikkun hu, so the inya for the tikkun is like this: levushim dikar asking shaharesh the lo isyada. Let's talk about the resh the lo isyada. Hiskin la'atzbo levushim shal kavod, so he prepares himself, or he orients himself to be able to be garmented in the garments of glory. Lihislavish bechem, to be clothed inside of them. Shehed sod sheva tikuni gugolta shel Erik Anpin. And where is it, this desire that he wants? What was the word or the levushim? The first levush is in the 7 tikuni of the gugolta of Erik Anpin. It's going to be talked about on this famous Sif Vav. Number one, the Gulgalta is the skull. Number two is something called Tala de Bedulcho, crystal dew. Then number three is Kruma de Avira, which is an air crust. Number Dalit is Amar Nakli, white wool or clean wool. Number Hey is Rabba, the desire Shuhu Hametzach, which is the forehead. So number Vav, he said Piko Shuhu Ha'ayin. So he says opening. He said which refers to the eyes. Nukvin de Bardashka, the nostrils Shehem HaChaitim, V'hines Shevet Tikun Elu, Hiskin Reish the Lo Isya the Berosh Erikanpin. So this, he actually minimized his light in such a way so that he has a garment now which conceals his light or minimizes the light in some way. That's the Lashon Tikkun, that the Reish the Yisida creates in some way these seven Tikkuni, the Gulgolta. So he's a Reish lo Yisida Berosh Erikanpin. In order to be clothed in in these garments of glory. And what does it actually do? Or Ein Sof, it hides the light of the Ein Sof. In other words, it's mista. This is the tikkun. It's mitzmayit, that or. So therefore, it's possible for Eric Anton, for example, to be able to get some manoah from this. He called the vush ku halom al or hagadol. So once again, every time that the light is clothed, it causes a holoma, hiding, and a minimalization of the great light of nothingness, which is the light of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So therefore, this minimized light, through the minimization process, allows this light, lihizgala of the tachtonim, to be revealed to the lower world, in a way that the lower worlds, lahasigo, to be able to reach it, and to get benefits. So we down here on earth are trying to look towards Eric Anpin, but he's looking beyond. And I think that's the reason why in the Idris that he's constantly mixing up who is Atik and who is Eric Anpin. He does it on purpose because he wants to say that they're actually writing together. But the name that you want to put on it is going to be Eric Anpin. So he said, so for these seven tikkunim, shall Eric Anpin malvishin as or elyon, they're covering over now this upper light. So, and they minimize it down. So that the light only escapes from where it began through different filters, v'nekavim, and holes shall rosh Eric Anpin, that exist in the head of Eric Anpin, and it's just as if you had a beam of light shining in your head and it was shining out through these different openings, but it sure minimized the light. Shuhu or moed, it's a minimal amount of eye. V'az yicholam b'tachtonim, is in order to be able to make these holes and these different filters, it allows the tachtonim, the kabbalesa or hamoed, to be able to receive this minimized light. V'achsim, and then they give it over. Achakach horish v'hanchil Eric Anpin, then Eric Anpin gets in business. He says, and he starts to give away or give out. As ha'or shal sheva tikkunim the zer anpin, he wants to give that light which is now going to flow through these tikkunim of the rosh. He wants to give it to zer anpin. Ki gam the mata b'zer anpin v'nukve, also in the zocha v'nuk down below, yesh b'chinas sheva tikkunim gugalta, there's also 7 tikkunim of the gugalta, and they're somehow lined up. V'heim teluya v'nishrashim, and so they're hanging down from and rooted in the mala b'shevet tikkunim gugalta, the Eric Anpin, and the 7 of Eric Anpin. V'nimsa shahor ha'elyon, so it comes out like this, that the upper light shall reish the lo yisyida of the reish the lo yisyida shenislavish b'shevet tikkunim gugalta, the Eric Anpin, that is clothed inside of those 7 tikkunim of Eric Anpin. Your mishtalshel meir the mata b'zer anpin, it's going to go through that in mishtalshel and then develop downwards and shine it down below into zer anpin. Whoa. Okay. Hi. I don't know where I lost you there. Do you have a first word on the line? Which one? Okay, so we're down at towards the bottom. He had said, let me find a place. Gogolta de Eric Anpin, Yored the Mishtalshel and Meir the Mata Bezer Anpin. So through the flow coming through the Tikkunim of the Gogolta, ultimately reach Zer Anpin. So he always he's saying now zer v'nuk, zaka v'nuk. So he's saying that it's ultimately winds up there. So through these 7 tikkunim of the skull, or the head rather, they also are become a remedy for the Sheva Malachim, the Mesu, the Malachim that died. The reason why they died is because they were pure din. Commotion is boyer, as has been explained. And then after they're coming through these tikkunim, the light of Erik Anpin starts going downwards. Madrega achar madrega. So downwards is one way of saying it. You could also say outwards and downwards. So the visha bekol tikkun v'tikkun yored the or od madrega, because every time there's a tikkun, then the light is mismayed a little bit more. Ad shahor miskarav el makom madinim. But he means to say, I think he meant to say, it's going from the top to the bottom. It goes from the skull and ultimately winds up in the nostrils. But it goes, all of these tikkunim are minimalizing the light. Makom madinim shel hamalach shemesa. Let me go back again a bit. He says that ad shahor miskarav el makom madinim. And so it keeps going downwards until it gets to the place where the dinim shel hamalach shemesa are found, where the malachim that are found. Now this sounds like the concept of Machadash, but I'm not sure. Because it was possible for them to become sweetened then, and therefore to be able to have a fragrant ruach. So now we see that Erik Anpin is going to tie itself to these dinim in light that they should become revived and then not continue to die. So here we see the word dying is apparently related to losing their functionality. Now we say over here on page Kuf Ches, up at the top, it says Erik Anpin. Oh, wait, let me see if I skipped something. No. Erik Anpin, and then we see that Erik Anpin has a tefisa, he has a supervision, or is a part of Erik Anpin, Lahoyer v'Lakayim as a malach. I'm sorry?
You skipped the page.
I thought I might. Yeah, I might. They're stuck together. Here we go. Didn't sound right. There we go. Okay. We're on page Kuf Vav. High Maskala. Now let's get to something, this balance scale. So now we're putting Zochav and Nuk together. And he says, and they're in a balance. The Erik Anpin, which is happening in this important place in the Muchas Dimah of Erik Anpin. So we said, let's take those 12 letters that come from 3 Havayas. So that we discussed this before, Sheish Osios Nekevos. So there are 6 letters. The Yuds and the Vavs are male, and the 2 Heys are female. The commotion is Boyer La'el. We talked about that. So he says they're all appearing out of a place that doesn't exist. It hangs down in the element hidden. But Malcolm Elyon, Shein Lo Havaya of V'Tefisa, it has, I think we mean Havaya is the translation is has no existence. V'Tefisa is nothing there to be able to conceive of. Shuhu HaKaser, this is called the crown. This is the crown, the Keser Shel Erik Anpin, and he says ayin, and it's also called by the name ayin, nothingness. Because the eye is like this. The Keser of this Rosh, of these 7, I guess he's saying, is called the Gogolta, is the skull. He says, Yesh lo shlosha shemos vayach asher bechem yesh osius charim v'nekevos. So we understand that on the skull itself there are 3 Havayas, and he says these actually, I guess they compose the skull. So they have yesh osius charim v'nekevos. They have male and female letters. V'hem k'ayam maskala. They're like a balance scale. So tikkun zachav anok, and it is the balance between the hismatus of the or the aris. I guess it's dividing them into male and female, or just into opposites. Shall hakeser. So on the keser, that what those 12 letters are now divided. Amnam ein bekeser osius via mamish. So let's just a second. He says the keser does not actually have the letters havaya themselves. Ella kala osius bekeser hein behelam godol uvatuliya called a koldahu. So let me see this again. That all the letters, rather that are in keser, they are totally and completely hidden. Over Talia calls Zahu, and any kind of an idea that they're coming out of that or hanging from it is very minimal. So therefore, in the Kesser, that's not where you actually see this balance, because the letters themselves are so hidden. Mamish shall Tikkun Zachav and Nekeva, which he's calling now by the Tikkun of Zachav and Nok, Rank Haim Ayan Maskel the Zachav and Nekeva, but it's really just the concept of the creation of a maskala itself, the balance idea, which is male and female. V'chein ein bekeser shorsh dinim. So therefore, in the keser itself, there's no real root of dinim there, besod nekeva, which is always the nekeva dika idea. Rak bedakos v'elam gadol, only very, very fine, almost non-existence at all, completely hidden. V'amar od is kalo be inun delo ishtakachu. So that's our balance there, things that are unfindable. So when we talk about this, so I try to look up this word ziyunim. He used it before, and I thought it says like kli zayin. That's the hint that I got, that the nishrasha. Maybe you have the right translation. So he said nishkalo, so they're balanced out. V'nishrashan, rooted, elu haziyunim, and so all of these maybe means branches, the hashrashim, and these roots, shalom malachim and rishayim, the original malachim that died. Shemesa the fishado nimsara bedarim shrashim elu lomala, because they still didn't have a root. They came out, but they weren't attached to something up above. Ki sivas misasim. So why did they die in the first place? Hoyim mishum de Eric Anpin. It's because Eric Anpin wasn't looking at them. That is, the area of the Kesser was not really looking at them, and to give to them in an intimate way, which we call panim bepanim. Is of the fisha Eric Anpin, because they didn't really have a root up above in Eric Anpin, as has been explained. So he said, "V'hine ata." So now he said, "B'tikun hamuchstimah." Now that it was establishing a tikkun in the muchstimah. What's the tikkun? B'sod hamaskala, that there is now male and female there. B'bechila zivug zachar v'nok. So b'tahainu hamtalkas adinim. So what does zivug zachar v'nok mean anyway? It means hamtalkas adinim v'rachamim, sweetening dinim with rachamim. So this is the male sweetening the female. So we say that when you come up, there's a root there. Women that rooted up above, in the root of the dinim shalom malachim, in the root of the dinim that came to or from the malachim, shemesa besod the nukvah the mukhstimah. So he says that death took place as a result of the female aspect that came out of the mukhstimah. But now, Mashbiach Eric Anpin lahayer v'lakayim as a malacha shalach yamusa. But now Eric Anpin is in the game. Eric Anpin is able to shine and to be able to sustain the malacha shalach yamusa, so that they should not. I guess the idea would be continue to die. Because now Eric Anpin is looking at them and he's creating a root there. What was the right word? I forgot. Now let me tell you something else. This mukhstimah, which is now we're understanding the most mukhstimah is the origin of everything else that appears down below, and it's in a maskala situation. Eric Anpin, it's now in the midst of the body of Eric Anpin. Now, I'm not sure what the play is on the word goof, because obviously the skull is not the goof, but he means to say that it's inside of the head of Eric Anpin. Vamar od lo is ached. It said, wait a minute, something going on here. I think we lost them again. Hello? You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, the phone's going in and out. Vama odlo is achad, so he said, b'she'ein misha is achad b'muchas timah. There is nothing to hold on to the muchas timah. Shalfilu abba v'ima sheshor shalom talui b'muchas timah. So let's talk about abba v'ima chachman bina. They have a root in the muchas timah. But they're not able to hold on to the muchas timah. Ella be'imsolas hamazal the dicta the Eric Anpin. The only way that they don't have a direct connection. He wants to say their connection is through the beard of Eric Anpin. V'amar Odin, it's another tremendous hismatus of light. And also it appears like this, that the Muchas Timah does not appear and does not reveal the Tachtani, the Fishu Saucum, the Krum, because it's closed up inside of a crust, which is kasha, hard, she'enu niftach, and never opens. He said, it's not similar to a cross that exists over the muach hachachma, the zer anpin, because that muach hachachma over there, he says, has many holes in it. Shehu krum dak, it's a very, very thin crust. Sheniftach is which opens up a misgalabo shlosha v'shtayim shavilim and reveals that there are 32 different pathways of light that's coming out of it. So we have another 3 minutes, I hope. So we're on page Kuf Test now. Let me just get this lined up a little bit better. Okay, there we go. So he says Be Saliku. He said Be, that there's a hamaskala shuhu mochus timah. So now he says that the maskala, another word for this mochus timah, because this is the place where you see the lineup of male and female. Olim called in Nivroim. From this, all of the Nivroim come. And it makes for them a shorish in the ruchas timah. So he says, he used the word olim kol nivroim. So he said they all go up to this place. I'm not sure what that means, if they're actually moving, but he's saying that this is the source of their creation. And so that they go up there every time. They can. In order to be able to get life-sustaining energy from their root up above. Because you bring life to all of them, and all of them are rooted up above in the muchas timah, the lohavu. So these are the ones that really do not exist yet. Because even though it doesn't exist, but it has a root in the muchas timah, so therefore it could, I guess, rise to that place or bring it back down. Let me read the words again. B'muchas timah, he says, la'es, at the time, that they need his havos b'mitzios to come into existence. So that you need a root. V'havu. So we're talking about that which was already existence. In other words, they did exist, but because of the dinim within them, they exploded or whatever, and therefore they were not able to continue. But they did exist. So he says, I'm not sure exactly, because it sounded like he wandered in between Olam Atikun and Olam Nekudim. I didn't really quite see it. Lo nipsak ashorish because once he wants, at any rate, he wants to say that once there is a shorish in a mochas timah, then there's always the possibility of regenerating new life. The Hevian, and they come into existence. The Hein Elush Nivro, so these ones that were already created, V'gam Choyu, and also existed, Nish'ar Betzias Af La'asi, they're going to continue to exist even into the future. They call Shorish and Metzius Shalachem, because all of the root of their reality, their existence, Hein L'Sha'avar is Hein L'Sha'avar Hein L'Asid, whether you're talking about what they were or what they're going to be, Hu B'Muchas Timah, it's all determined in this one place, which is the place of the Muchas Timah, which is its root. Because that's where you find the root of all creations, Be'aver, Ba'avar, Ba'hava, that there were and that will be, they're all there. Okay, that's it, I guess, for today. Thank you so much.